Yo, what's up, everybody? It is Monday, March 6th. Yo, everybody, listen up. Earlier today, I made a video. I thought Powell was going to talk today. He's actually talking tomorrow. So he'll knock the market down because, you know, he'll just say, "Oh, rates got to go up," and all the monetarist zombie freaking clowns they'll get triggered by that and they'll sell it down. But you got to buy it. And here's why I'm saying that. And I shouldn't be telling you guys this because you're just tuning in here. You know, I got subscribers. The fiscal flows right now are ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I mean that in a positive way. I mean, we're trending. Well, February is a big month because of tax refunds, but nevertheless, we're trending towards a 780, almost an 800 billion leading spending flow. 800 billion. It's like incredible, man. And people are selling this shit because they're just like all into this whole monetarism bullshit. I shouldn't even be telling you guys this stuff because it's like, it's unfair. It's just unfair, man. There is so much. If you study physics and you study potential energy, that's like the ability of energy to, like, you know, come out, whatever, just erupt. There's so much potential energy right now in a bullish way that I can't even find the words to describe it. It's like unbelievable. It really is. But that's what's happening here right now. And the funny thing is, well, not the funny thing, but like the curious thing is, if you have an understanding, I've always said this, I said, like, right now, we're living in an environment where everything is framed under a single variable analysis, and that single variable analysis is completely misunderstood, right? They talk about like interest rates and monetary policy. It's completely misunderstood. People don't understand. You know, Warren Mosler did a very interesting interview the other day. I think you can find it. If you go on his Twitter, you could find it. But before he was on that interview, that podcast, they had the Wharton professor Jeremy Siegel. I kind of like Jeremy Siegel. I think he's good when it comes to like market valuation, that kind of stuff. But he's a monetarist like everybody else. Like he was talking about, well, I don't know, because the labor market's still so strong, they're going to raise interest rates some more, blah, blah, blah. And then they didn't really have a back and forth discussion between Mosler and Siegel, which I would have really enjoyed. I don't know, maybe I would have switched it off because it would have pissed me off, to be honest with you, because I'm tired of these monetarists, man. But Warren got on and he was like, when they were talking about like government finances for a sovereign currency issuing nation like the United States. Like the government has to put the money in there first. Like everyone thinks, oh, we're borrowing all these trillions. We're borrowing all these trillions, like from who? Like Warren explained it. Like they gotta, either the Fed, which is a part of the government, or the Treasury itself has to put the money in there first before anybody could pay their taxes or before anybody could buy a single treasury bond. And I mean, he came to this understanding like early on in his career and ended up making, a lot of money as a hedge fund manager because of this. And here's again this example of like knowledge is power, knowledge is money, knowledge is strength, knowledge is force. I don't know, like I said earlier, you can be part of a cult which believes in things a certain way, and maybe that is really seems very realistic to you, and I understand that. Like, if you write a check, I'm about to write a check right now. Well, that's to New York State for taxes, which I owe. But New York State is not the federal government, but they have to collect taxes. They do. They're not like the federal government. They're not a currency issuer. I'm not a currency issuer. You're not a currency issuer. We're all currency users, just like New York State. That's why I want to get out of here. I'm sick of paying these taxes. I got to write this check right now. But, in the bigger picture, what he describes is like, and this is what I've been telling you guys, like, the government has to put the money in there first. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. They have to put the money in there first to then sell treasury securities or collect taxes. I mean, it's not China in some factory manufacturing dollars, or you in your hard work that you do. Yes, I understand you're also hard working and important, and you fund the government. You don't. You give back a portion of what has been put into the economy, which, because of your skills and prowess and whatever you've earned. So some of it you give back, but it has to be put there first. If we're talking about the actual dollars, they have to be put there first. You don't make them, okay? And it was a really good point. I can't even, a lot of times I can't even listen to these debates anymore. It wasn't even a debate. It was Warren talking. Anyway, listen, I'm thinking of starting up my podcast again. And I contacted a guy I know. I've spoken about him previously on other videos that I've done. When I was a floor trader at the CME, I was trading S&Ps on the floor. Lewis Brosellino, who was the biggest S&P individual trader on the floor. This guy was like so incredible. And he agreed to come on my podcast, so I'm just going to set up a date. And when I know the date, I'm going to let everybody know, because you all got to listen. Because, I talk to you guys about my experiences as a floor trader. I've been a member of 4 different exchanges in the past. And I met so many different personalities, but there was always somebody in one pit. I was on the COMEX, I was on the NYMEX, I was on the KNIFE, I was on the CME. There was always somebody in one pit who stood out in a way that was so entirely different than anyone else. And so, like, I don't know what the adjective, like powerful, like somebody who ruled that. And this would describe Lewis Brosellino, like an incredible dude. We're not like close friends, he knows me. I definitely know him, like everybody knows him. They actually, I've spoken about this in the past, where you had like firms like Goldman Sachs, and back at the time Salomon Brothers and Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley, and all the biggest firms had spotters who they employed in the pit just to call, to tell the Wall Street desk, like, what's Lewis doing? What's he doing? Like, you had these, the biggest firms on Wall Street, the most powerful, the most influential firms on Wall Street, like, what's Lewis doing? What? And to hear a guy like that talk, to kind of like get into his head, which I hope to try to do when I interview him. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's like trying to get into the head of anyone who has who's the GOAT in their profession, right? I don't know if you watched the fights over the weekend. John Jones, in 2 minutes, he dispatched Cyril Gane. It took Francis Ngannou 5 rounds. It took John Jones 2 minutes. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, folks. It's really an incredible thing. And unfortunately, many of us, most of us, will never achieve that level. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't strive. And more importantly, it doesn't mean we shouldn't try to learn from that. Like, learn from that. Like, here I am every day telling you this stuff about MMT and you know, the markets and blah, 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 and the monetarists, how they're crazy. Like, learn from that. A lot of people are just like, oh my, it's not worth my money, it's not worth my time. Okay, fine, man. You know, just like embrace mediocrity. I went to that thing a couple of weekends ago in that survival thing, and I thought I was a tough guy, and I talked about that before. And when you're rained on, and when you're cold, and when you're freezing, and when you're sleeping under a tarp, and when you're on a you know, just an unkempt forest floor. This is not like sleeping on a golf course or anything like, you know, I wanted to give up so bad, man. So bad that I had to tell myself, just Mike, make it through the next 30 minutes. Make it through the next 30 minutes. And that was hard. I couldn't look at my watch, because if I looked at my watch, I knew there would be 7, 8 hours. How do you do that? And that's not, I'm not giving flowers to myself. I'm not sending flowers to myself. I'm just saying, like, you want to make it? That, and I'm not talking about myself. That's what all these guys have. And I'm going to bring Lewis on for a podcast. And hopefully, I don't even know if I'm that good of an interviewer, you know, a host. I'm going to try to get the best out of it. This guy was the tops, man. And 4 exchanges I was on. And I knew big players. But this guy, nobody compares to this guy. Nobody compares to this guy. And I'm going to bring him on. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Tomorrow, of course, Powell's going to trigger all the monetarists, you know, and screw them. Just go against whatever they do, because they're idiots. See you tomorrow. Bye.